Iran has been hit with the spread of coronavirus, and unfortunately, they've been hit the hardest. The death rate in Iran is among the highest of every other country, with the exception of 2 others, actually. So the official death toll, and this is devastating in Iran, from the coronavirus disease has risen to 1,135 after 147 new deaths were reported in the past 24 hours. Another 1,192 cases have also been confirmed, bringing the total, this is the total in Iran so far, 17,361, the 3rd highest in the world, okay? So the situation in Iran is dire, and what's made it worse is the economic sanctions that the Trump administration has implemented. Now, I wanna just go back for a second, because I think it's important for people to really understand the context and how these sanctions were implemented. Iran negotiated the Iran nuclear deal with the Obama administration, and that halted the production of enriched uranium, okay, in the country. They were following through. It wasn't just between the United States and Iran. There were other European countries involved to ensure that Iran was following through and that they were not developing nuclear weapons. That's what the whole point of this negotiation was. And in return, the Obama administration had lifted sanctions against Iran. Trump comes in, and of course, he's this egomaniac, this crazy person who decided to rip up that deal and implement those sanctions anyway, even though other countries that were involved told him, don't do that, that's a bad idea. Even though Iran was following through with their part of this deal. And so it makes this story so much worse when you think about the hateful, like jealous, envious incompetence from Donald Trump. So with that said, let me give you more numbers on what's happening in Iran. Researchers estimate, researchers estimate Iran will not reach the peak of the epidemic until late May, and they estimate as many as 3.5 million people could die as a result. So any humanitarian effort to help save the people of Iran is not allowed, because the United States has bullied every other country into avoiding any type of trade, any type of work with Iran. They're totally isolated. Right. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and the Iran sanctions are particularly infuriating because every single Democrat in Congress voted for them except for Bernie Sanders.
Right.
Because they were tied to the Russian sanctions, undoing their hero Barack Obama's biggest accomplishment, yeah. Foreign policy accomplishment by far. Just undoing it overnight because of the whole Russia thing. And these sanctions, like it's worth repeating, sanctions kill people. This is an extreme case that it could result in the deaths of millions, but sanctions on Iraq in the 1990s killed hundreds of thousands of people. Sanctions all over, like Venezuela and Cuba, like they impoverish the population and kill people. They never, ever, ever harm the regime. Like that's just like the stated goal, by their stated goals, they never work. They just work to impose pain and misery on the populations of those countries, often innocent people, children, all that stuff.
Right, and if you think that a government is authoritarian anyway, why would you pass sanctions against it? Because you know the way they're going to respond is just in an authoritarian way, and their people are going to bear the brunt of it. It's just like it's counterintuitive.
Trump doesn't care about the authoritarian nature. If Trump could be a full-blown authoritarian in this country, he would do it. And more importantly, look at all of the cozy relationships we have with authoritarians around the world.
Oh, yeah.
Look at how much, Trump loves Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely, and this was why I think what Nando just mentioned was something that the moderators on the CNN debate between Biden and Bernie weren't able to mention, which is that Bernie explicitly voted against those sanctions on Russia because they included extra sanctions on Iran, and
it was the only sanctions, the ones that undid the deal.
Right, exactly, and it's like, yeah, this was the crown jewel in Obama's second term, right? And honestly, I thought it was great. I mean, and I think the alleviating of tensions or with Cuba was also another one.
Even Russia. I mean, that was the Obama administration's signature policy, was to lower tensions with Russia, which Mitt Romney made fun of him in the debate in 2012. Like, it's like the world has gone
topsy-turvy, for sure,
down.
definitely.
And Yeah, and now we have Biden, who was the vice president the entire time, not being called out on it. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like hearing Biden repeat these right-wing talking points. It's like you feel like you're taking crazy pills, you know, and not getting called out on it. So I guess I just want to say also, like, my heart goes out to the people of Iran, and I can't imagine how it must feel to know that your country is in an even worse state. Like we've been complaining about the US's poor response, but
and by the way, you're like, people in power in Iran have not responded sufficiently to coronavirus either. So it's not, we're not trying to make it seem as though like leadership in Iran is great. No, leadership in Iran is devastating, it's disastrous, but it's not about leadership in Iran. It's about the citizens of Iran, the people in Iran who are suffering as a result of the short-sightedness and the ridiculous nature of the Trump administration. And look, we shared with you satellite imagery of some of the mass graves that are now being dug in order to, basically bury these bodies. And so there it is. That image is just, it's terrifying. It's disastrous. And as an American, you should feel shame in knowing that that is what has come out of our government. That is that is a part of our responsibility. And if you genuinely care about life, right? All those right-wingers who care about life, what about the 3.5 million lives that are likely to perish in Iran because of our action, partly because of our actions? And I just can't get past it. And by the way, they're looking for some financial support from the IMF. I have issues with the IMF, but when you're desperate, I mean, what else are you gonna do? So according to the Denver Post, although Iran has one of the Mideast's best medical services, its hospitals appear to be overwhelmed, and authorities have asked for 172 million masks from abroad. It also has asked the International Monetary Fund for $5 billion, the first such loan for Iran since 1962. I don't know if they're gonna get the loan that they need, but I do know that humanitarian efforts to Iran are blocked because of these US sanctions.
Right, and what the interest on that loan is going to be if the IMF does grant the country of Iran a loan like that. I mean, we've seen what they've done in the past. I guess I just wanna say, I think this is, as scary of a crisis it is internationally, it is such a moment for international solidarity and opportunity. You know, maybe it's like, a lot of the hippie in me and maybe some of the Bernie Sanders in me that's like, what if, if the US develops a vaccine or a cure or another country, right? Like that we give it to Iran first and foremost.
Yeah, for everyone. For
everyone, but it's like, you think that would go just a little bit far in like alleviating tensions with Iran, like when that's the thing is that Anna's exactly right, that we lump, and our government tells us to lump leaders in with their citizenry. And the opposite is true. Right. We are in solidarity with those people, and if we actually reached out and had like person-to-person solidarity, you get the vaccine first because you need it first, what would that do? How would the people of Iran turn on their government? I mean, and I don't mean to like overthrow it, I just mean like, in a sense of solidarity.
It's one thing to try to influence culture, right? And empower the citizens of a country to take matters into their own hands, to empower them. We have no business, in my opinion, going into countries and determining whether a leader is fit or a regime is fit to lead.
Right.
But if we do see issues, I think that lending a helping hand and humanitarian efforts go way further in terms of accomplishing the supposed goals our government claims they want to accomplish, as opposed to what we've been doing, which is killing innocent civilians around the world for decades. That's what we do.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat, emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.